Doc. We'll start with David here in the second row.
Dave, what was the thought process of Ben Rortvedt starting and having Will come off the bench tonight?
I think the thought was similar to game one. Given Will hasn't had, much of a work up coming back from the IL, so catching the 5 innings, whatever it was, to then build up tonight, to then feel like he's in a better spot. We got 3 at-bats under our belt, which is also a positive. Came out of it feeling good, which is encouraging. And then, if we continue to trend, then, having him start game 3 if it still looks good.
Okay, next question. I'm going to go here in the first row.
Hi. So it comes out today, no surprise to you guys, that your 3rd straight year you led the major leagues in days on the injured list. I guess, what does it say about this team that you're able to survive all these injuries and get to this point? And now what's the feeling when, especially on your staff, so many of these guys are healthy and you feel like you're probably as loaded as you've been?
Yeah, we've had certainly our fair share of injuries. I think a couple things. I think it certainly speaks to the way the front office can kind of add depth and navigate the waiver wire. On the development side, we've had some young guys cut their teeth that probably weren't ready, but had to rise to opportunities. And then as far as like the guys that were around, the core group of guys that were healthy, just to remain steadfast and keep going. And early on, the starting pitching was very patchworky, and then later on the pen and fortunately, the positional player group, for the most part, has been intact, which has been great. But, guys have stepped up. And for us to keep going says a lot, about the organization.
Okay, we're going to go to Bill in the middle.
Yeah, Dave, what makes Teoscar such a good RBI man, particularly in the postseason?
I think his ability to use the whole field. I think he just locks in a little bit more in run-scoring situations. That's probably the 2 biggest things. You're going to have to hit some velocity. You're going to have to stay away from spin. And to do that, you got to be able to use the whole field. A lot of RBI guys have to be able to do that or do that. And I just think, again, his focus is just more heightened, in those spots and then also in the postseason.
And why was that lacking for such a large chunk of the regular season then?
I think it's just there is some part of it where I think some of the injury part of it, he injured his groin, I think, in Kansas City, and coming back from that might not have been 100% coming back. And also, I think that's part of it, a lot of it, but also I just think that the focus is more heightened. It just is.
Over here on the right, second
We
row.
saw you deploy Glass now for multiple innings in Game 1. Could we see that out of Emmett Sheehan or Clayton Kershaw as well?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly Glass is off the table for tonight, but Clayton or Emmett, certainly viable options, yes.
Hey, Doc, you've played in some hostile environments, New York, Boston, and you managed in some as well. What's your advice to Blake about pitching in an atmosphere like this, in a game like this?
He's pitched in a lot of big spots and environments, hostile environments, and so for me, I got no advice for him. I think he's really focused on just doing his job, and like most greats, when they get to performing or competing, all that noise drowns out. It really does.
Okay, we're going to go right here in the front.
You guys have faced Luzardo a couple times in the regular season, and he's had deeper outings. What's made him effective against your lineup? And do you expect that he might have the chance to go deep in the game, or maybe the Phillies go with a quicker hook?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. It's velocity. There's changeup, really good changeup that he's been successful with us. He pitches, backwards at times. with JT behind the plate. There's a sweeper, slider that he tries to get for Chase, but 3-pitch guy. I'm sure Rob has a lot of trust in him. We're expecting him to go long, and our lineup kind of reflects that. But I expect us to take good at-bats. Really good pitcher, but I feel like we got a good game plan tonight. And, I think we got to make sure we do a good job of trying to keep him in the strike zone. If we do that, it should be a good night.
Okay, Jack, row 2.
Following up on Will real quick, was there any residual effect coming out of the game the other night with how his hand was feeling, or did he feel how you guys wanted him to?
He felt how we had hoped. There was a little bit of soreness, but just overall, like, good soreness with his entire body.
The lineup, like we asked you a lot down the stretch about flipping a switch and when that would happen. Like, was there ever a point where you were worried that wasn't going to happen, or did you kind of look at the makeup and the veteran nature of your lineup and kind of trust that they could get to the place they needed to be once you got to this part of the year?
I was certainly counting on the veteran players that they would stay the course, because the offense has been good for quite some time now. My only concern was letting some of the pitching woes affect them. And that wasn't the case with those guys. And so that's telling of their character, which I really appreciate. But as far as how the at-bats we've taken, that's been, a solid 5 weeks, I think, that we've had some really quality team at-bats.
Okay, going to go far in the back out there, Bob.
And Dave, with your starters, pitching the bullpen too, could you see using Ohtani at some point, like even a game 4, or even a guy like Snell, maybe a later round, out of the bullpen?
That's hard to project. I think anything is on the table depending on series circumstance. But right now, I don't think that's not on our radar. But yeah, I think I'm sure that there's some unforeseeable things that sort of always arise. So I'm not gonna take anything off the table.
Can you go to the second row here on the left?
Dave, when we talk about there being heightened focus during the playoffs, it's usually in the context of the players, but is the same kind of true for you as the manager, some of the in-game decisions you're making?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it starts with me. Just decision making, making sure I'm in tune with the players, how they are emotionally. I think for me, that's a lot of managing in the postseason. Just really having an understanding where their heartbeat is at, how you expect them to respond to certain situations, being prepared for certain situations, and then making decisions, with that information. But yeah, it has to be. It is.
We're going to go back here to Bill on the right.
Yeah, Dave, Max Muncy out of the lineup again today. How much of that is left on left? Is there any lingering effects with the physical things he had going on?
Physical things, he's in a good spot now, which is great. I think right now, for these first 2 games in particular, having guys that have a lot of success against left, I really like the silver bullet to deploy at any given point in the game, which we did in game 1 versus Robertson. I also feel that Miggy Rowe has been taking really good at-bats, has had a great season. I love him versus left. And Kike is October Kike. So I think that right now, just kind of the net sum, it just gives us the best chance to win tonight. I felt the same way, in game 1. And, we'll see how tonight goes. But I have conversations with Max every day, and he's completely on board.
Play the what-if game with Ohtani. If this thing goes the distance, is he your game 5 starter?
If it goes the distance, he would be, yes.
Okay, we're going to take 2 more. We're going to take Dave.
Dave, 2 questions for you. Is Yamamoto ready to go for game 3? And as far as tonight goes, the dynamic between Snell And that lineup, he's had success. What's he got to fight against? Does he have to pitch to strengths? How does that work in a game like this?
I think, yeah, he's had success. Those guys have had success against us. As far as Luzardo, I think it's just more of the strengths part of it, but it's also kind of not being. And I mentioned this the other day. It's just not being predictable because with the postseason, there's just a lot more scouting. So, your errors are more highlighted. So I do think that kind of mixing and matching speeds, locations is really important. And the thing that's good about Blake is he has 4 different pitches. So he has a lot of weapons to get the right-hand hitters out, the left-hand hitters out. So, I like where Blake's at. I like where he's throwing the baseball. And, I feel good about our club tonight. Yamamoto start game 3, yes.
Okay, we're going to finish up here with Fabian on the left.
Yeah, Dave, like you said, you guys were swinging the bats better going into this October, but is there anything like just game planning wise or approach wise, or have you figured out something offensively for you guys this postseason, last postseason that conduces to better offense, more consistent offense than maybe the 2 postseasons preceding it?
I think that there's a little bit of, coming and playing for something, a postseason berth, a division, playing till the end of important games. I think that's kept our focus offensively. Not having 5 days off, playing real baseball games has kept our focus. And then the last part, probably the most important part, is that the guys are just bearing down and have bear down with their bats, winning pitches, taking walks, hitting to all fields. Those are things that, play in the postseason. And we've done that for quite some time. So I think it's just sort of bleeding into, right now.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
All right, thanks.
Okay.